Welcome to the Just Ingredients podcast. I'm Cara Lynn, and here we talk all things nourishing to the mind, body, and soul. This is a place where you can find just good ingredients to life. Welcome back to the show, everyone. Today we have a guest on who you know and love because she is the dentist that I created the tooth powder and mouthwash with. As you all know, it's Dr. Michelle Jorgensen. She is an author, speaker, teacher, biologic and holistic dentist, and health and wellness provider. After her own healing journey, Dr. Michelle has been discovering ways to improve her family's and her own health in all facets of life, finding answers in the kitchen, in the garden, and at home. She has found what it takes to live well in today's world. And now, with Living Well with Dr. Michelle, she is sharing these ways of living with you. So thank you, Michelle, for being here today.
Thank you so much. I just always love talking with you. You're so inspirational, and it's just, we always have good conversations. So
We
this will be
always
fun.
do. I love when you're on the podcast, and you're a wealth of knowledge. So I'm excited to hear about the new things that you're coming out with.
Yeah, it'll be
But
fun.
before we talk about that, I love your story, and I love why you have changed your practice and what you do. And so will you just tell my listeners a little bit about that story and your background?
Yep, for sure. So I am a general dentist and was trained traditionally. My father's a dentist. I have actually three brothers that are also in dentistry. And I love dentistry. I'm kind of a geek, so I like to study. I like to learn more. I like to do all of that. And I just thought I would do that forever. My father is actually still practicing in his 70s.
Oh, wow.
So I just thought that that's what I would do too, that I would just keep practicing forever. But about 12 years in, I started getting really sick and I didn't know what it was. And my symptoms were at first things that you think everybody has. I had gut issues, but like my stomach hurt all the time. My memory wasn't as good as it used to be. And you can kind of blame it on age, but I was like 35 years old. So I wasn't really old. Maybe now I could blame it on that, but not then. And the big one, though, was I just had this painful pins and needles numbness down my hands all night long. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't blow dry my hair. I couldn't put on mascara. Like I
Oh,
couldn't do
wow.
anything. But I also could not hold an instrument, a dental instrument anymore. So I put my practice for sale. I didn't know what to do. I went to doctor after doctor and everything was just inconclusive. I'd walk out of there with a prescription in my hand, but the prescription just kind of felt like they were like, shooting darts with a blindfold on, just hoping that something would stick sometime, or even better, that maybe I would just go away and not bother them anymore. And none of those prescriptions were actually answering why my, 35-year-old body was literally falling apart.
Yeah.
So put my practice up for sale, didn't know what I was going to do. And finally, in that search, someone said, "Have you been tested for mercury before?" And I just kind of laughed it off. I said, I don't, I know that silver fillings have mercury in them, but I don't have any of those fillings. And I've been taught they're perfectly safe. And he just, kind of smiled and said, "Well, regardless of what you've been taught, what would it hurt to be tested?" And he was right. I had never had that test before. So I got tested for mercury and I was floored by the results, completely off the charts levels. So
Wow.
all of a sudden, all my symptoms made sense. And, this is actually a really good segue into some of the things I'm doing now too. But at that point, I was so consumed with like getting better, but I didn't know where to go and what to do. Because here I'd been trained in this Western methodology. My grandfather was a doctor. My father's a dentist. We all were all that, all in. But I'd gotten sick doing that, and it hadn't helped me get better. And I was like, what in the world do I do at this point? So I started looking outside of my traditional training, and I found out there were ways to do mercury filling removals without breathing it in, because that's really what this came down to, simply that I would be drilling my patients' fillings out because I was a cosmetic dentist. So everybody said, "Oh, these are really ugly black fillings, silver fillings, I want them out of my mouth." When I'm drilling them out, it releases the mercury. And if you think about, where's the dentist's head? Right above
Right
your
over the
mouth.
mouth. Yep.
So now I'm getting the mercury from everybody's fillings. Patients getting it from their own, but I'm getting it from everybody. And those fillings are 50% mercury. So
Wow.
that was a lot of mercury. So it was totally poisoning my brain. Nothing was working. So I had to get it out, but I couldn't get it out if I was keep putting it in. So I had to find out, could I do it in a different way? So I found this organization that actually had protocols for all of this. I didn't even know they existed. So I started following the protocols. But then patients obviously noticed you've actually had this done, I believe. And
Yep.
it's very different. Like you don't walk in and think, "Well, this is totally normal." No, you think, "What in the world's going on here?" So
Yep.
we started doing all these different things and people were saying, "What are you doing? Why what's going on?" And it was for me, for my own health. So I'd explain it and they'd say, "Oh, well, we're really glad for our health that you're doing this too. I think my doctor would be interested in this." So we started talking to doctors and they started teaching me what I needed to know. "Oh, have you learned about ozone? Oh, do you know the issues with fluoride?" I had, but not that, like, first of all, ozone was crazy, fluoride was perfectly safe, These are just the mainstream things that we're taught as professionals. And I had to really leave that and be okay with leaving that to say, what's actually the truth here? Let's figure this out. And that sent me on a journey that I never expected. So, completely different path for the last 12 years, since that time. And now we have a multi specialty clinic where we do everything from those fillings all the way to pediatrics and orthodontics and everything, really focusing on how does the mouth affect the health of the rest of you. Because I said, my gosh, if these fillings could make me this ill, and literally kill my entire career, do everything. What else is going on inside of dentistry that no one's talking about?
This is how I found you is years ago, I needed to get my silver fillings out, and I started asking all around, like, "I've heard that you need to do it in a really specific way so that, you don't inhale the mercury or take some of that mercury in, and I need to find someone who does it the proper way." So I was asking everybody, and multiple people referred you, and so then that is how we first met, and then from there, we've created products and done podcasts, and you've taught me a lot, and I think a lot of my followers have come to you because your practice, I love it. You take the holistic approach. It's not just like, oh, you have this one little problem in your tooth. You guys go deeper as to, well, why are we getting all these cavities? Is there gut health? Is there a mineral deficiency? So I love that you look at the whole body as a whole. And so you have just written a book that is coming out soon and it's called Living Well with Dr. Michelle, correct?
Not very creative.
No, but it says exactly what it is,
Exactly.
but it has a unique format about being healthy. So I wanna hear about this.
Yep. So going off of where I really was at this real, point of confusion, overwhelm, how do I get better? And I've often shared my story of how I got sick, but I've not often shared my story about how I got well. This book is about how I got well and how I help other people get well also. And it's actually outside of dentistry. So this is a big foray for me outside of dentistry. And for those who don't know listening, I am a dentist, but I'm also a traditional naturopath. I'm a therapeutic nutritional counselor. I've gone back to school to get a lot of other things to really bolster what I'm able to share from a health perspective. So, yeah, you might think, what in the world is a dentist talking about this? Well, that's why, but because it's also my journey and I had to learn these things on my own. So I was at this place of just complete overwhelm. How do I get better? And you know very well, because we're both in this world, there's not a lack of information today, right?
Right.
We're not lacking in information. That's not the problem. The problem is we don't really know how to evaluate that information to say, does this make sense? Does this feel right? Where do I go with this? So I was looking at, Western medicine, everything I'd been trained in. I was looking at Eastern medicine and I was doing some deep dives. I was diving into Ayurveda from India and traditional Chinese medicine from China and Song medicine from Korea. I mean, all these things. And they all sounded great, but they were really just more confusion. I found out, like, I'm a fire in traditional Chinese medicine. Okay.
What does that mean? Right.
What do I do with that? I have no idea what to do with this. So I was just in this stuck place. I didn't even know where to go. And at that place is where I realized one essential component, one essential thing, that it doesn't matter, Eastern, Western, it doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, we're just all made up of a bunch of cells, 37 trillion to be exact. And those cells are what keep us well. So my favorite example of this is when you cut your finger. So you put a Band-Aid on, right? Does the Band-Aid do the healing?
No.
My grandbaby says yes, so don't tell her differently. But
Yeah, exactly.
you are correct. No, the Band-Aid doesn't do the healing. The Band-Aid might support the healing and keeping bacteria out and, but your cells do the actual healing, right?
Right.
So in Western medicine, pills, prescriptions, x-rays, lab tests, and all those things, they're just Band-Aids. They're just support for your cells to do the work. The same on Eastern medicine side. The powders, the programs, everything else over there, the supplements, those are just Band-Aids to
Hmm.
support your cells in doing their work. It's all just a Band-Aid. Your cells are the ones that do the job. And the amazing thing is they do it all without us telling them what to do, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Like, do we have to tell our finger how to heal our finger?
Yeah, no.
No, the skin cells knit together so tightly that you cannot separate those two sides again. Like your scar tissue to do this.
But they do that through the nutrients in our body and the hormone communications and the cell
Bingo.
communication and things like that.
Bingo. So the right question is not Eastern versus Western medicine. The right question is, what do my cells need to do the work?
I
You
love
are
this take.
so spot on. Yes. So I've created what's called the CellWell model. And in the CellWell model, I've just done a deep dive into what do cells need. And you already hit 2 of them out of the 4.
Oh,
You're
well,
so good.
I'm good.
You
I'm
probably
glad.
know all 4 of them. I didn't give you enough chance to talk there. Yeah, so the 4 things are supplies. So that's going to be your nutrients, the water, the air, all of the things that they actually need to intake, right? To do the job. The second one that not a lot of people think about is the support. This is the environment that the cells are in. This is the way we treat our cells. So do we exercise? Do we give it a little bit of the good kind of stress? That's the environment and the support that they need. The third thing they need is security. So this is defending ourselves from all of the things that are trying to take us down. And this is hugely where you started. What was damaging your cells? What was kind of taking you down? You needed some security to protect those cells so that they could do their work. And then the fourth thing you did say is signals. So that's the way the cells communicate with one another. And that's also the way that they create energy. So that's the energy creation systems in the body. So those 4 things are what every single cell needs. If you can provide your cells with those 4 things, you can be well.
Well, I have a question for you though, because I'm thinking about these, but don't different cells need different supplies?
Absolutely. So there is no one generic answer for everything. That's part of the problem with this information overload that we have today, is that we're saying this one supplement is going to fix everything. Well, it's not true because every cell has different requirements.
Yeah, everybody needs different things. And yeah, because you sell supplements, I sell supplements. And so I'll be saying, oh, vitamin D is great for this, and B complex is great for this, and iron is great for this, and magnesium is great for this. And then everybody thinks they need to buy all of them and take all of them, but that's not necessarily true.
Nope.
Every body needs different things.
Depending on where that body is, depending on the challenges that that body's facing, we all need different things, even depending on the age. I know you just came out with a bunch of perimenopause and menopausal support. So at different times in life, different cells need different things too. So then we could hit this wall of complexity again, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where you're frustrated, where you're overwhelmed, where you just don't know where to go. So that's where the book goes next. So in that point of overwhelm where I was learning all of this about Ayurveda, Chinese traditional medicine, Native American medicine, German herbalism. Like half of my books back here are all of those books. And I read them all because I'm that kind of nerd. So I just thought, no one's going to do this. No one's going to read all of these books. So I've got to make this simpler. I don't speak, Chinese. I can't make sense of this. But then I started looking at them and there was a commonality amongst all of them.
Hmm.
Every single traditional medical system used the elements of the earth and the seasons of the earth as a classification system. So they were all using air, water, fire, earth, and plants. They call it wood, but I call it plants because I think plants makes more sense to us today. They were all using those 5 elements as a classification system. Either they're classifying our bodies like that or our needs like that. So I'll say them again. Air, well, actually, I'm going to say them in the order that they go in because I'm going to give you another piece to this. Plants, fire. Fire is the energy component that we don't often think about. Earth, air, and water. And if you go through all traditional medical systems, they all have those. And I show you like 15 different medical systems in the book and show you how every single one of them uses all of these elements. Why? Because humans have lived on the earth since the beginning of time. And those are the ways that we get the things that every cell needs. I believe that the earth provides everything that we need.
Yeah, same.
We just need to know how to utilize it. So the other thing that it uses was the seasons. So everything talked about spring, summer, fall, and that our bodies go through seasonality. So this is exactly what you're talking about. That not every body, even everybody's different, but everybody's different in different times as well.
For sure.
So
Yep.
we go through seasonality of what our body needs. So what I've created, again, taking all of this information from everywhere, is an assessment that you take. It's called a seasons assessment, where it's based on your symptoms, because in today's modern medical world, we have created some phenomenal diagnostic equipment, right? We test with lab testing, we test with x-rays, we can do all kinds of MRIs and scans and all these things. But I believe that they've actually handicapped us a little bit because we've
Mm.
forgotten to listen to our cells.
Listen to our bodies.
We've
Yes.
forgotten to do it because we're
Yep.
so reliant on lab tests and all these things. We've
So
forgotten to
true.
listen to our cells. So I actually say we're going to leave all that out there. If we need it, we need it. But we're going to start with what are our cells saying. So it's a symptom assessment that you take. And you say, where am I from a season standpoint? So let me give you an example. Let's say you have liver issues and you don't even know that they're liver issues. I'm going to say, okay, my numbness in my hands, I've got a lot of swelling. Like, I got kind of some pain here occasionally, especially like when I eat a lot of fatty foods. And well, that's liver gallbladder. Okay, you know these issues, right? Liver gallbladder is associated with the spring season. Now let's take this a little bit further. So you take the seasons assessment, you put these symptoms down, and it comes out that you're in a spring season. Okay. Which organs are related to spring? Liver, gallbladder. Those are the primary organs. There's some secondary organs as well, but liver, gallbladder are the primary ones associated with spring. Think about spring. This is how I'm helping you to reason your way through this complexity. Everybody knows spring. What happens in spring?
Regrowth, new blossoms, new.
Yes, it's all new, right? You got to clean it out. You have to clean everything and start over again. So liver, gallbladder, that's what you need. You've got to start cleaning. So then I even go to, this is my gardener talking. What grows in spring? And not everybody knows this probably. In fact, I thought everybody knew this, but as I've been
No, they
teaching, they're
don't.
like, no,
I
I have
don't
no
know.
clue what grows in
So
spring. All right. Okay. So let me tell you what grows in spring. The things that grow in spring are things that are green.
Mm.
Lettuce, spring onions, broccoli, cilantro, all of the greens, spinach, all of those things grow in springtime. Guess what your body needs and uses to detox?
Those greens, I do know that part of it. I just
All of
didn't
the
know they
things
were
I
growing in the
just
spring.
say. Yep. So now we're connecting the gifts of the earth, the elements of the earth, with the seasons of the year and saying, where are you? I'm in a spring. Great. So what do you need? You need to detox. What are you going to use to do it? Well, the supplies we're going to use are those greens. We're going to use a lot of greens right now. Chlorella, cilantro, these things are going to help to move things out. What else do we need? We need support. Well, what happens in spring? It's a little chilly still. We have to warm things up a bit. So we're going to do some movement and exercise that actually gets you warm, gets the body warm, because that also helps to detox. What do we need security-wise? What's coming in the springtime? Well, we're kind of moving through that cold and flu season, but now we get some allergies. All right, so from a support standpoint, from a security standpoint, what do we need to help with allergies? Well, how about some great natural antihistamines like some lavender? I know you don't like lavender, but I
I
know this
like it,
about
I
you.
just don't like the taste and smell of it.
Exactly. We'll find some others that are good for you,
Uh,
that are
mm.
antihistamines, that might combat those allergy pieces because as your body is detoxing, it's actually pushing some of those things that your body doesn't like to the surface, and you're gonna have more of that allergy kinda reaction, so you gotta calm that all down. And then from a signal standpoint, what does that need? Well, all of those spring greens are very, very rich in minerals, and minerals are phenomenal at allowing communication. So we gotta really ramp up. Again, the spring greens are gonna enable that communication as well. So all you need to know to be able to do this is what are my symptoms?
This is fascinating. So you will figure out tell the symptoms to your quiz, whatever that is, and then it puts you in a season, and then in every season, you have those 4 things of supplies, support, security, and signals.
Yep, and I provide you with ideas in each of those categories. So if you're in a spring, here's your list of cell well ideas, and you create your own formula, basically based on the season that you're in. Now, is that season you're gonna be in forever? No, but that's where you are right now.
Okay, so I'm curious since it's winter right now and it's cold here in Utah. So, what would be a common symptom that would put you in the winter season?
So winter is water. Winter correlates with water, spring correlates with plants, winter correlates with water. So you are gonna see water retention. You're gonna see people swelling, get that swelling feeling, gosh, I feel like anything's moving. Kidney issues, urinary tract infection. Those are all gonna be associated with winter and water. So if you're getting chronic UTIs, if you got kidney stones, we're gonna be talking about, okay, you are in a winter season. So, what are we going to supply your cells with in a winter season? Well, first of all, we actually need to do more water and clean water, but you know this so well. Water, I like to think of water as the UPS truck of the body. Water brings supplies where it needs to go. So, if you just add water, what actually happens is you dilute the supplies in the body. You're bringing a whole bunch of empty trucks, but no supplies with it.
Well, that's a good analogy.
Yep, you've got to bring the supplies in the truck. So the water needs something that your cells need. So what do your cells need in that period of time? They actually need citrus fruits. They need some acids that are going to help break up that stone formation. They're going to help things move in the body. This is so fascinating because you think about what grows in the wintertime.
Well, and this I know because 'cause I'm from California, so I know that the oranges, the lemons, the tangerines, all of that, the
You
grapefruits
got it.
grow in the winter.
You got it. So guess what you're going to use if you're in a winter season? So the fascinating thing is I went through this process. I was literally like locked up in my room for days sometimes doing this. And I would just go, "What? It's all here already." Like this is what grows in the winter and this is what happens in the body when it's in a winter season. It's already all here. We've just forgotten to pay attention to the earth, to the world. We're so insulated from it anymore.
Okay, so let's go through a winter, like you said, the supplies, the support. Let's go through the support, the security, and signals.
Okay, so in a winter season, you're really cold, right? So you're going to do things that are going to warm you up from a support standpoint. So, support standpoint, you are going to do hot. You're going to do hot teas, hot drinks. You want things that are going to warm your entire system up. You're going to do movement that's going to warm your entire system up. So you're going to do some cardio to get things moving. You want to warm the body up. So that's from a support standpoint. Security, cold and flu season, all the way,
Mm.
right? So this is when you're going to hit your oregano oil, your vitamin C, which interestingly enough comes in your citrus fruits,
Mhm.
right? Elderberry, which elderberry harvests in the fall. If you don't know, I've got a bush right out here and I just harvested it about a month ago. Elderberry, oregano, also harvest in the fall, vitamin C from your citrus fruit. That's your security. You're going to fight all of those cold and flu, but also those same bugs are UTI bugs. They're kidney infection bugs. Like it's just bacteria. And all of those natural antibiotics and antimicrobials will kill all the bugs. So that's what you're going to hit it with from a signal standpoint. People don't understand what vitamin C actually is. Vitamin C is an antioxidant, and that is just a big word that nobody knows what it means, right? What the
Well,
heck
some
is
of
that?
us know what it is, but
You know what it means, but not everybody knows what it means. And honestly, it's a little confusing. What's an antioxidant? So the way I like to think about it is our bodies are combated by a lot of things from the external world, first of all, even like the computer I'm sitting right next to right now and the heater I've got at my feet because I'm a little cold out here. All these things are actually giving my body what are called free radicals. Not only that, but every single time our cells create energy, they create free radicals as well. So we have all these free radicals, and the way I like to think about them, um, is my favorite analogy because people can see it. So about a month ago, my grandbaby was here, and we're all like, she's our first granddaughter, and so everybody just like pays attention to her all the time. So she's entertaining us all. She's in the living room, and all of a sudden, she just lets out this huge, huge gas, just so
yeah, no.
loud. And we just all died laughing. So then, of course, she got a lot of attention. So she starts running around, choo, 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 all around the living room. That's how I envision free radicals. They're literally running around like toddlers in the body, creating all kinds of havoc
Havoc,
and
yeah.
damage damage. So vitamin C tackles the toddler. It donates an electron to calm the toddler down. That's what vitamin C does. So it also that electron donor, the electron actually is the communication tool that cells use. They use electrons to talk with each other. I talk a lot about this in the book. So the same vitamin C that you're getting from that citrus fruit supplies you, secures you, and provides signals. Isn't this great? You
That's
only need to do
incredible.
like a couple things. So you can walk through all of these things and go, oh, okay. And where do I get that from? Well, either I just drink a lot of citrus or I get, a vitamin C supplement. And I talk about the kind that are the better ones, but it just simplifies it down.
Let's take a quick break to hear from our show sponsor. Looking for a mattress made with ingredients you recognize? Naturepedic has it. When Naturepedic's founder, an environmental engineer, couldn't find a suitable mattress for his first grandchild, he made one. Today, Naturepedic makes healthier mattresses and bedding for the whole family. Their safer, healthier sleep essentials use materials like cotton, wool, and latex instead of fiberglass and polyurethane foam. Plus, Naturepedic's EWG verified, GOTS certified organic products meet rigorous criteria for transparency and safety. I just gave my niece one of their breathable crib mattresses, and it meets all the important safety standards. Plus, it stays clean and hygienic without any vinyl thanks to its waterproof surface made from food-grade, non-GMO sugarcane. Get Naturepedic's biggest deal of the year, 20% off site-wide, plus a free pillow with any mattress size twin and up at naturepedic.com, or find the link in our episode description. Don't settle for hidden chemicals where you sleep. Use code HOLIDAY at naturepedic.com to save site-wide and give the gift of better sleep, or better yet, give it to yourself. Now back to the show. Yeah, that is a nice simplification process of this all, but I have quite a few questions. So, first of all, in winter though, I know like onions and garlic and vegetables like that that are really good for the immune system are also grown right at the end of fall into winter. And so, is that part of the winter season as
Absolutely.
well?
Absolutely, because those are very antimicrobial. If you add garlic, so I grow garlic in my garden, and people don't know this actually. This is why I love to like throw in the homesteading stuff with it. You plant garlic right now. I plant garlic in November. It harvests in July, and it stays stored until the next July, literally, until I need garlic again. And garlic is useful year round from an antimicrobial standpoint, but garlic, onions, those all have a ton of good microbes or antimicrobial action, and they're fabulous for keeping your body healthy. The other thing that grows that's harvested in the fall are complex carbohydrate foods, which are root vegetables, potatoes, carrots, beets, squash, pumpkins, all of these things, complex carbohydrates. And people are like, oh, complex carbohydrates are bad. No, no, no. This whole vilification of macro, carbs, fats. No, 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 no. There's use for all of them. Now, we're not going to eat pumpkins in the summertime, but we're going to eat it in the winter. Why? Because when your body is cold, it actually needs those kind of foods to warm it up. And it's that slow burn that those complex carbohydrates bring, not a spike, it's a slow burn that helps your body get the energy it needs to expel those bugs, to clean up all of those stones, to actually get everything back in order again. So complex hard carbohydrates are what we need. And then we hit the spring and we need all those spring greens to get rid of all the things that the complex carbohydrates left behind. But there's a use for all of them in the right season.
That is so fascinating. Nature is incredible. But I have another question. So you take this quiz and according to your symptoms and you're put in a season, but it could be wintertime physically here. Like it can be November, but I have a summer health condition, correct?
Correct.
You
Correct.
won't be diagnosed for just it's winter, so we do
No,
things.
no, no. This is your season. So this is your personal season.
Okay. And so then explain this part to me because I'm missing a little bit where the plants, fire, earth, air, and water that you talked about. Where is this coming into? Is this part of the seasons, part of the supply, support, security signals? Where does that fall in?
Great question. It comes in two places. So the first is every season also has its complementary element. So
Mm,
spring and plants go together because that's
okay.
largely what we're doing in spring is we're adding a lot of green plants. Summer and
Okay.
fire go together because it's the hot season of the year. It's when energy is at its highest. So thinking about summertime or a body in summer, we want to cool things down. We're not going to be drinking hot drinks. We're not going to be, we're not going to be doing a lot of cardio exercise. We're not going to be doing that. We're going to be trying to cool some things down. Fall and earth go together, but I actually don't call it fall. I call it harvest. So there's a fifth season, and this harvest and earth go together. That's when all the minerals and things are so essential and crucial. And you talk a lot about minerals and when you need them. And a lot of the symptoms that people are taking them for are harvest, earth, season symptoms. Fall is air. That's the lungs. That's a respiratory system. That's everything that goes along with but the air. And then winter is water. So there's a complementary element with every season. But then that populates your supply, support, security, and signals because oftentimes we're going to be looking to that element for answers to get that if you're in that season. So we're going to be looking at air, if we're having a respiratory issue. Okay, what's coming in with the air? What do we need to protect ourselves from a security standpoint? So it helps to populate it. It's not the only thing we're going to be doing. Obviously, we're going to do plants if you've got a respiratory issue, but it just helps to kind of hone into where we need to think.
That's incredible because I do know from, I mean, Chinese medicine and all these different medicines, some talk about fire, where some are going to talk about warmth, where some are going to talk about it being summer, some are going to talk. And so you just combined them all into a simplified
Exactly.
form.
And into something that everybody can understand. Because all those other different versions, they're all like, I can't keep track of all this, but everybody understands seasons. I mean,
Yeah,
even if you live in Hawaii, you probably still kind of understand, what a winter feels like if you don't live in Hawaii. You get it. You
you've
get
been
it.
somewhere where you know where winter or what winter
Yeah.
is.
You know what it
Okay,
looks.
so does this apply though to kids, adults, pregnant people, breastfeeding people, elderly, like everybody?
Everybody. Everybody. And if you think about it, so summer is a growth phase. So in pregnancy, you're probably going to be in a summer. So we have to think about it. Okay, we're growing right now. Everything's growing rapidly right now. What do we need to support rapid growth? We need a lot of supply. And which supplies do you need in summer? Well, all of the plants that are growing, they need minerals from the earth. So we need lots of minerals because you're growing a
Mm.
person. So yes, every season of life has a complementary season as well. You just are figuring out, well, what's going on in my life right now? Where do I start? And that's the key is to where do you start? Because that's what everybody gets so stuck with.
They
Do I just start
do
with everything?
because yeah, because even like with my depression, we did multiple different types of testing to just figure out like where do we start? Okay, let's start with the vitamins. You're really low in these basic nutrients. Okay, now let's move to food intolerances and now okay, let's move to hormones and yeah, it can get very overwhelming. So, but is this too simplified that it doesn't affect like hormones and like bigger complex issues? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it absolutely makes sense. So what I found, and I have story after story of things of this that I don't know how much time we have, but I can share a few stories. So, for example, there is a patient that I've worked with, Jennifer, and she's a runner. She is really healthy, works hard. All the people, you work with and know. But her hair was thinning. And one day she literally was pulling out handfuls of hair in the shower, freaking out. My hair, how we all get. And so we just said, okay, what do your cells need? What do your cells need right now? Figured out she's in a harvest season. That's a harvest time. That's all about minerals.
How do you
She
know
was
she was in a harvest season?
went through her symptomology. She had
Oh,
some other
okay.
things too. So went through symptomology, and it's all about minerals. It's all about what comes from the literal earth. So this is the electrolyte piece. So you have fabulous electrolytes. People don't understand electrolytes actually carry electrons. That's the reason they're called electrolytes, and they help energize the body. But those electrolytes also help supply hair cells with what they need. That's minerals that hair cells need. Had been doing 2 things. She'd gotten a water filter that she'd heard about, was a great water filter, cleaned the water really well. What she didn't realize is it was removing all the bad stuff, but
Mhm.
also all the
The
good stuff.
minerals. Yep.
Yep. So she'd had this water filter about 3 months. She also would come home from her runs super sweaty, jump in the shower, but then she has busy kids, busy life. She wouldn't do anything. So she wasn't drinking the electrolytes. So she was never replenishing. She was already deficient because she wasn't getting it in her water. She wasn't replenishing it. So we just did 2 things. She started doing a mineral drop in her water, and she started drinking electrolytes after every run. All of a sudden, within about a month, no more hair in the shower. So would somebody have thought that that was a serious condition? Was that all hormone based? Was that thyroid based that was leading to her hair loss? Potentially. But guess what? The things that we did to fix what our cells were telling us also corrected a hormone issue if that was correlated. Does that make sense? We're
It
going
does.
to the root of the
I was
root.
gonna say you're going to the root of the root. That's exactly what I was going to say because you hear like I get this all the time. People will message in saying, "I'm losing my hair. I'm thinning. My hair's thinning." Well, you can easily go like, "Okay, is it a thyroid problem? Is it a perimenopause problem? Is it do you need to go get all this blood work done?" Things like that. But you're going even one step simpler as to let's go to the actual basics
Let's go to your
first.
hair. What does your
And
hair need?
and then if that doesn't work, then you could move on to all the different testing.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Like I said, we become so reliant on the tests that we've forgotten to listen to the body.
Yeah, that is really fascinating, and this is a side note, but 75% of women are or people are chronically dehydrated, and if the electrolytes are the signaling part of our cells, we're in trouble.
The cells can't communicate with one another, and it's just like if you're living in a city and all cell service goes down. It's funny that the same word is cell, but yes, and the internet goes out in the city. What happens? Everything grinds to a halt because if you can't communicate with each other, you can't work, and that's the same way the cells. What happens with the
Mm.
cells? We grind to a halt.
So you may have a hormone problem, but it's because it most likely is a cell problem of not signaling.
You got it. You've got it. It's showing up as a hormone issue on a lab test. But now we're saying, but why is the lab test showing up like that?
Because most people will go get a hormone test and then take synthetic hormones or something because they're deficient in hormones, but it could be a signaling issue.
But
Wow.
the synthetic hormone is just the Band-Aid.
Yes.
It's
This
just
is
Band-Aid.
this is incredible. This is such an unique, fun way to look at health, but it makes sense. I mean, the cell is the basic unit of life. So why aren't we looking at the cells before we jump the hoops and do all these other things?
Exactly right. Yep. Because we don't know how.
Yeah,
So
that's
that's
true.
my
And
whole
it's too
purpose is to
overwhelming.
teach you how to do it, how to simplify it down to the point where you go, I could do this.
So is your book simple enough that I can just be like, okay, I want to look, I have depression symptoms. Let's just say that I don't anymore, but because of my depression issues, I could just be like, oh, okay, depression, and then find what I needed to do.
Yep, yep, you can start there. I mean, obviously, it would be a multi-volume, set if it's gonna have every possible answer for every possible symptom, and we're creating that now. I was just speaking at an event last week, And people were coming up the entire rest of the event. "How can I work with you? How can I work with you?" Like, wanting
Yeah.
to find out information. So we are creating all of that as well. A way to get this information in a very if you want what we're gonna call an assisted version. You can do the DIY version, but if you want an assisted version, we're working on that as well, and we'll have that by the time the book is out. But, yeah, you can start with what's in the book. You
And
can.
so does it also work for, because it sounds like it works for obviously chronic conditions that you're talking about, but what if someone just has like the flu? Would it work for something like that or not
Absolutely.
necessarily?
Because you say, "Okay, what's the flu? It's a bug. All right, so where are we at right now? Flu season." You go through symptomology. That sounds a lot like spring. All right, so what are we gonna take for that? We're gonna take those antimicrobials that are natural in the springtime, and we're gonna see if we can just kick this guy out of here. So, absolutely, it works for every single thing. In fact, I've got a really interesting example of a girl who, um, she was a singer. She didn't ever take a gig from November to April because she was never sure that she was gonna be well enough to perform. She didn't
Mm,
dare say yes.
have
She
a
was afraid
sore
she's gonna be
throat or
sick.
something.
Exactly. So I asked her, I was like, "Serena, what are you doing? Like, why are you just waiting for the next, shoe to fall here? Let's give your cells natural security so that you can do this." So we started her on a CellWell formula, oregano oil every day, or elderberry every day, and vitamin C every day. She's been doing this for over a year, has yet to get sick ever since she
Wow.
started doing this.
Wow.
So this is root. So it's prevention as well as treatment. Do you know what I mean? It's sometimes we have to get above it. Like you got to get through that flu you're in. But the goal is let's never get another one.
Right. Okay, so you just said that you gave her the Cell Well formula, and I've actually heard you talk about Cell Well on your Instagram. So is Cell Well part of this book as well? Like
Yep.
how to just
So the
keep your
cell,
cells
that's
well?
the CellWell model. That's those four elements. It's called the CellWell model. So you create a CellWell formula. It's all about keeping your cells well. That's all we're doing.
Well, couldn't you just do the same thing every day to keep your cells well? They don't have to go through seasons if you're just doing a Cell Well protocol, correct?
100%. But the body does go through seasons just because we live on the earth. Do you know what I mean? It's not necessarily following the seasons of the earth, but my body's changing as I go through different phases.
Okay.
As I go through different if as I have different needs, my body has different demands. So I do cycle through seasons. I do have a seasonality. But actually one of the main premises of the book is that we don't have to wait to get sick. That the whole goal is to actually stay well, and I talk a lot about lifespan versus health span. Lifespan is
No,
how long we're living. Well, I don't wanna just live long. I wanna live well. I wanna be sick
same.
every day of my life, you
Same.
know? And so it's all about how do you stay well. In fact, a person that was helping me a lot with this book, she kept pressing me on that. She's like, "You keep talking about when you're sick." She's like, "I don't wanna ever be sick. Can you teach me how to stay well?" I'm like, "Yes. That's what I really wanna do. I wanna help you stay well, not ever even get sick."
Okay, so give us a few couple tips of how to stay well. What is the Cell Well? Is it like vitamin D every day? Vitamin C? What is it?
Yeah, good question. So, again, I don't always love supplements. You and I both sell them. So but
There to supplement.
exactly, I love that. They are to supplement. A lot of what you talk about is so key. It is simply a real food. So, if you look at the nutrient value in a supplement that's derived from an apple versus an apple, there is no way it can compete ever, and I talk about this in the book. There's no way, because it's the synergistic combination of things in the apple that makes it so potent and powerful.
The
So we can't just
fiber, the
pull one thing out.
coenzymes, yes,
All of those things working
cofactors.
together make it really, really good for us. So if you can choose something in a box or a bag or a package over something that's sitting in the produce aisle, something sitting in the produce aisle is going to give your body more. Now, unfortunately, in our food supply today, we can't always trust that that food has a lot in it anymore. So we do have to supplement sometimes. So what I typically say is I want you eating 3 to 5 plants a day. This is nothing that's like earth shattering. You've heard all of this before, but I want you to eat plants. That's one thing you absolutely need to do. You
Yeah.
need to have minerals. So, in an electrolyte form, you need to have minerals. You also need to touch the earth. So, I talk a lot about how earth is the ultimate source of electrons, of energy, and touching the earth actually delivers those electrons to our system. So, it's called earthing or grounding. So that's the third one. So you need plants, minerals in some variety. You got to touch the earth. You got to get those electrons into you, and you need to do something to move. Again, this is not earth shattering, but I have some very, very simple things. If it's nothing more than when you're sitting at your desk, you're flexing your feet. You
Mhm.
just need to create some warmth and some movement and some blood flow in the system. Very basic.
I
Very
love
basic.
that. Well, and I love that it's just eating real whole foods because I think what people miss a lot of times is that whole foods are made of cells, and those cells feed our cells. And so those cells from nature, from the food, are nourishing our cells. And like you said, it comes back to the root of the root, which
The
is the
root of the root.
cells.
Yep.
This book just seems fascinating. I am so excited to read it. We will tell the people how to order it in just a minute. But because I always talk about depression on my page, and it's just something that I dealt with, and you know that, I'm
Uh-huh.
curious if I went in there and did the quiz with the symptoms, would it put depression in a certain season or depression's too complex to do that?
Well, there probably are some symptoms of depression in all of the season, along with some other symptomology. But if I were to just pick a season that it fits inside of, I would say it's a winter. But here's the thing that I want us to think a little bit about. In the world in general, there is a purpose for the winter. And the earth can't actually produce food, fruit, vegetables nonstop without some replenishment.
Hmm.
You have to actually be able to rebuild to be able to continue to grow. So this is one of the reasons that we actually do cycle, even in wellness. We do cycle through the seasons some because there are different times that our bodies are in, even when we're well. So we always think of a winter as kind of a dark, down, place we don't want to be. But I like to think of it as a place where your body's gathering resources and
Mm.
regenerating, and you're giving it enough time to do that. Because in the height of summer, we don't slow down enough to even be able to regenerate and give our cells what they need to continue on. So I mean, I've not struggled with depression the same way you have. So I don't want to I don't want to negate or minimize it whatsoever. But I do think that sometimes we even mentally need to go through seasons in order to give ourselves the opportunity to stop and breathe and regroup and regenerate so that when the
Oh,
next spring comes, we're ready.
I love that so much. I
Yep.
like it for the
Sorry, I'm like
physical.
getting teary talking about it. I don't know why.
I love it. Well, I love the physical part you said and the emotional part. And here's why. Because the physical part you said we need to replenish and my a lot of mine was due to a nutrient deficiency. I was deficient in so many different vitamins and minerals and all sorts of things that my body just wasn't functioning properly. But when you said we need that reset emotionally,
Mhm.
oh my goodness, I can't even tell you healing from depression, how much of a mind shift I made in so many different things in my life. I no longer wanted to rely or be a victim to my past or a victim
Mhm.
to past trauma or victim to who I thought I had to be. It was like this new regrowth or rebirth coming out of this dark, cold winter into a new me, emotionally and mentally. And so I love what you just said is sometimes we just need the winter.
You need to get there. You need to allow it. If you think winter's water, water's cleansing. It's cleaning out all the things that don't actually serve us anymore. And unless we allow ourselves to be there a little while, our bodies can't do the work.
A lot of the help books just seem repetitive. Like we hear the same things over and over. And like you said, it can be so overwhelming. There's so much info out there, and their way is the only way, where this just seems so encompassing and just makes sense that nature provides everything for us, including not just the elements and the food, but the seasons and how this relates to our health and our well being. So I'm sure others are intrigued by this too. So you've got to tell us, how do we order this? When is it coming out?
Yes, so the release date is May 20th, but here's the good news. You can pre-order now, and I'm going to tell you why you need to. All right.
Okay.
So, not just because you need the book, because you need the book, but also because I'm a very spiritual person, and I feel like I always joke that I'm like was Mother Earth's apprentice in some earlier age. And she's been like screaming at me saying, will you please get people to pay attention again to me? Like I've got everything we need right here. We've just all forgotten about her and God and all these other things. And so I 100% was told this book is not for me. It's for all of you. And I'm supposed to give all profits from this book to charity. So here's what's so cool about this. If you heard this on the podcast today, go to livingwellwithdrmichelle.com. We'll put this in the show notes /pre-order. Okay, you're going to pre-order the book. So livingwellwithdrmichelle.com /pre-order. You're going to go to Amazon. You're going to buy the book. You're going to pre-order the book on there. Then you're going to come back. You're going to tell us, yes, I ordered this and I heard about this from Just Ingredients, from Carlin. And now everything that comes in from Carlin and Just Ingredients, I'm going to donate to a charity that's related to one of these elements of the earth in Just Ingredients' name. So
I
this
love
is the reason she is going to hopefully help me tell all of you about this. Not just this reason, but this is all supposed to just go back to helping the earth again. So we have amazing charities that are related to water and water all over, clean water. And we have amazing charities related to regenerative agriculture, making sure that our plants are actually feeding us. This is where all of the profits from this book are back to the earth, because that's where this information came from.
This is incredible. So you're finding charities that deal with plants, fire, earth, air, and water. What an amazing idea. This is just as cool as the book, or even cooler.
I'm super excited about it. So go pre-order the book and tell everybody else to do the same. Not because I'm making money on it, but because the earth is. The earth is going to benefit from it.
Well, also, though, so many times people want to help out and want to donate to a charity, but they have no idea where to even begin. And so this is such an easy thing. Order the book. You'll become educated by reading the book, but you're also going to help out with a charity at the same time.
Yep.
This
and it's
is
$30.
incredible.
So it's an easy donation for you, basically. Yep.
That is incredible. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to be here. I know you're busy, and I don't know how you found the time to write this book. You're incredible. Oh, my goodness.
Yep.
Well, I'm
Well, thank
excited to
you.
read it when it comes out, but thank you for being here and explaining your new book. So, I always end my podcast with asking my guests what they have found to be the best ingredient in life, but I'll give you a second to think about that, because we forgot to tell the listeners where to find you to learn more. We talked about where to buy the book, but where can they learn more from you?
Yes, so livingwellwithdrmichelle.com. That's the name of the book. Like, you literally only need to remember one thing at this point. livingwellwithdrmichelle.com. And we should have the assisted help with these CellWell formulas as well. That's all going to be information there. So that's where you'll find me.
Perfect. Okay, so now you've been on before. What is the best ingredient that you found to life?
All right. So I laugh because I've said the same thing twice now. And so I'm going to say the same thing, but it makes no sense for what the question you just asked. I believe butter is the best ingredient.
I love it. Tell them why, though.
Is butter, especially butter from grass-fed cows, gives us natural vitamin D3 and natural vitamin K2, which is so important for cell health, for cell wellness.
It's important for cell health, but also important for the teeth, since you're a
Yes.
dentist.
Yes,
Tell them why.
especially teeth health, because it helps to remineralize teeth. So utilizing our tooth powder and mouthwash along with butter is a fabulous combination.
It has been so fun talking to you today. Thank you so much for taking the time to be here.
Thank you so much for all you do.
Thank you so much for listening. Remember to subscribe to the Just Ingredients podcast to learn more about your health and good ingredients to life. Plus, get daily tips at just.ingredients on Instagram.